And so what I would want to hear from you is, kind of given that experience, how would you recommend that churches and ministries more faithfully walk alongside brothers and sisters who have these real experiences?
Everyone has an individual journey with this thing. I've noticed that looking at life, everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, you don't have to give like the definitive answer for all churches, right? Yeah. So Jack's the new authority for everyone.
Take everything
and boom, here you
go. Helping the individual, honing in with a pastor on an individual and their problems and their struggles. I think when a pastor just from the pulpit says, yes, Jesus is the answer, awesome, that's the truth, I know that. Mm-hmm. How can Jesus help me with this? How can Jesus walk me through this day, what I'm experiencing in this moment? I'd say just being more intentional about loving people in the little ways, and being available enough to be invested in people. And not just pastors, not just churches, but the whole church, us as the church. I say small groups would help with that. The more small groups could be opened up, the more, as I try to be, honest and vulnerable as you can be. Some people are afraid to talk about these things, but we should just have no fear, or give people no fear of that, and just always be, the face of Jesus and a helping hand and a loving person to lean on. I'd say that's the main one.
Awesome.
It's huge, man. So I have a confession to make. I'm a huge singer-songwriter, right, like fan of that kind of genre of music. And so,
as am I.
And so when we started talking about this, and we started talking about like this interview happening, I was like, oh man, please let his music be good, right? Like, please don't let it suck, because it's going to be hard for me to fake that, right, in an interview. And so, so I started listening to your stuff, because I followed you when you were on The Voice originally, right, in there, because it was just interesting to me. And so coming across, was like, okay, like, dude's talented, like, clearly he knows how to sing. I didn't know anything about your connection to your family side, right, on that stuff. And so, but actually listening to your music there, it's incredibly fascinating to me, specifically how the single you're talking about, like Run at the Giant, the idea that transcendence is something that music kind of tends to evoke in us as people, right? Like, it's one of the things that we can all experience as human beings that's universal, irrespective of language, time, culture, right? It doesn't matter. Music awakens something in us that's very primal, right? Like, down to the deepest core of who we are.
Absolutely.
And because Christ has radically changed you at the core of who you are, right, and knowing that your music is now huge, like it's for a much bigger purpose, right, and as you take these gifts that you've been given and you further contextualize them for things that are going to be able to help people experience, like, not just freedom, but knowing that they're not alone in those kind of musics, what are some of the big things that you actually hope to accomplish with the album, kind of in that vein?
Yeah, so we have a single out at the moment. It's called Run at the Giant, and it's about all these things. The giant is the example of, for me, that one, the big one that I can run at, that I've overcome, is cocaine. Mm-hmm. But we're running at giants every day. Mm-hmm. And everyone has giants, and they're all different. But because God is with us, and because God is for us, and because if we believe that, if we hold on to that, mm-hmm. if we trust Jesus, it's that David and Goliath story. It's, here's this 7-foot-something Goliath, and here's this little kid who's, obviously the underdog.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, I was getting my butt kicked by depression, by anxiety, and eventually what led me to cocaine. It was killing my life. It was draining my bank account. It was ruining my health. It was ruining my relationships, everything. So this song says, I can't do it.
Man, that's powerful, dude.
But once it hits the chorus, he can.
Yeah.
So the lyric is, you're with me in the fire, you're strong and never tire. So what's the response to that? I can run at the giant. It's because of Jesus. It's because he's powerful, he's strong, and he's my champion, that I can champion over those things that try to take me down.
Oh, so good, man. There.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's super epic.
That's
to me.
amazing.